Hey everyone, this is the LEGO Ninjago Movie Green Ninja Mech Dragon. Fully extended nose to tail, the dragon itself measures almost 2 feet long. The head is an interesting hybrid between the oldest and newest styles of builds for these Ninjago dragons. Originally, they used to use a small number of very specialized molds to create just a very simple build that had a certain level of accuracy to the organic shapes that they would use in the cartoons. And more recently, they've moved towards more of what you might consider more genuine LEGO builds using standardized parts, and a lot of them to kind of try to approximate more interesting shapes. But this goes kind of half and half between the two, using a specialized mold for the entire lower jaw, the main structure of it, and a new mold for just the nose here. But then the rest of it is all fully built up, including the use of the ever so important golden bananas in front of and beneath the eyes there. But this is nice. It looks really good. I really appreciate the ability to like adjust the whiskers here, just bring them out and in, turn them, get them to be exactly at the angle you want. You know, all these small bits can be adjusted however you wish. This does use some stickers. Let me actually show you what this looked like with no stickers whatsoever. I actually personally prefer this with no stickers because it looks more like it's an actual organic dragon. It just looks natural that way. But that is not what was intended for the movie or for this set. They want it to be robotic. And I think the stickers really help getting that across. They bring in some inorganic elements that help to kind of bridge that gap a bit, but it still does have a rather organic overall feel to it until you get into looking at things like the cockpit section there, which has a couple of control sticks. They use a book front cover piece there in the trans green, which is actually a print, not a sticker on that for the heads-up display. I like that. A couple of sand green colored angled droid arms are used to hold that up. And there is also a console down below that does use a sticker for a little extra detail. This dragon has no proper wings. Rather than going with the European mythological style, it goes with the Asian mythological style, which really fits with this theme much better. But they do still have kind of little vestigial winglets here, which are useful just for the sake of posing and adding a little bit of extra aggressiveness, I'd say, to the look, because you can kind of broaden out the shoulders. If you bring these down, then it looks more relaxed, and if you bring them up like this, it makes it look more aggressive, just to me. I feel like, you know, they almost act like eyebrows in a way, just a different type of expression that you can form with just those little elements. They're nice. Obviously, tons and tons of different shapes of sand green colored parts, including some pieces that have not been made available in that color previously. These sections here can actually be opened up to deploy some boosters, some thrusters to give it some extra power forward. That happens on either side. These are integrated surprisingly well. I thought they would look really artificial and just kind of out of spec for the overall design and theme and visual style of this thing, but I think they actually fit in well and they deploy nicely, they go away well. That's pretty good. I'll show you how all the articulation of this whole thing works in just a minute. I just wanted to show you a little bit more closely the details of how things look, what types of parts are used to form the different shapes. These are really nice that they brought those in the sand green color. The tail is not tremendously long on this one, which is good. You know, it's easy to pad up the size of a dragon by just giving it a really, really long tail with a minimal use of parts out towards the end, which allows you to say that you've got, you know, a certain length, when in reality most of it is just little extensions, kind of like putting an antenna on the top of a building and saying that, you know, hey, look how tall it really is. But these segments at the end are actually built up pretty well. There's no laziness involved here. And they do have just a little bit of an action feature here, which gives it a really nice organic kind of look if you operate this just right. Look at that. It really looks alive. Now you do need to get the pose just right so that this is basically floating there. You know, you don't want the dragon to be angled back or angled forward, but I love that right there. So in terms of other articulation, I already showed you these, but I want you to see what that looks like with the whole thing in shot. See, it really does make a difference, just showing the shoulders. Shoulders make such a difference in made up designs to how they look. But yeah, we got the tail with the head. You've got the mouth that's able to close up completely. You can also open up quite wide, and then you can get in there and access the tongue, which actually has a couple of things that can be adjusted in shape. So you can really bring that out and make that look pretty extreme. I don't like this little bit of purple that shows in there, the part of the plate there, the regular plate that shows up, but they wanted to keep that nice and thin so you would not see too much around the edge here. This is able to turn from side to side. These elements can also be moved in and out to give you more room to turn from side to side. Unfortunately, you're not able to bring this segment of the neck up and down. You're not able to turn just the head by itself up and down. It was just a compromise that had to be made. It's a difficult compromise to make, but I think it was sensible here because it really is important to be able to turn that head from side to side. However, you can rotate this like that, bring it up and down. Look, useful for looking up or looking down and to the side. And you can bring the neck up and down from this level here, from the base of it. So that goes only that far down. Could have used just a little bit more downward motion, but it comes up. Each of these spines can be adjusted, so if you need more range of motion, if I want to bring that up pretty much vertical, I can. There's enough room to bring that into play. So that actually makes it pretty tall as well, although it's only going to be looking up. Maybe it helps to open the mouth a little bit like that. And it looks like it's, reaching up, like it's gonna grab something in the air, some other flyer that it may be attacking. The legs are just fine. They're short, but you can splay them in and out. You can rotate them forward or up and back. You can also just, that's one of the studs from the stud shooter there, but you can bring the feet back like this, and that works exactly the same for the fronts and the rears. Independently move the toes. That's pretty good. Pretty good look there from this side. Very sleek as it just kind of dives, as it takes a large leap through the air, and maybe bring out the thrusters at that point and actually fly with it in that sort of form. Yeah, that's pretty nice. It's not able to bend up and down within the body, but there's a little bit of movement, kind of waist articulation almost, to bring it back and forth. They've shock absorbed that segment there, so it's able to move, but it wants to self-center, and you can work together with that and the tail section to give it a good amount of range there and kind of really get that kind of thing going. So, I think it takes some practice to really animate this well, but there are a lot of possibilities without doing any customization. Here are Lloyd as the Green Ninja and Sensei Wu. Lloyd gets the golden tassel piece at the end of his newer style of sword. Wu gets the printed cloth piece going around his legs. The gap is supposed to be where it is there. It does take some doing to get the folds right to prevent that gap from being too ridiculously wide where it really looks strange, but could use a little bit more work than I did. The print for Lloyd looks fairly simple, but if you look at it more carefully and with the light hitting it just right, there's a lot of black printing upon the black plastic itself, which also goes into the arm on either side. Yes, not just that little bit of green there, but that's also on the front as well. It's really subtle and takes some doing to really be able to appreciate it unless you're right on top of it. There are the faces fully revealed for the two, and Lloyd does get an alternate face for himself, an alternate expression. Here's Garmadon in full-on war regalia, as well as a named Shark Army thug. That is Charlie on the right, with his fairly generic fish-based weapon. Nice cloth piece for Garmadon here. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward cut, but it works well with this figure. It's shaped up pretty nicely, bends over just perfectly fine. And of course you can leave that off, but it's really easy to get a view of what's underneath there because all this folds up very simply to let you see the rest of the print on the upper torso and a little bit of the print on the lower torso. There's the rest of what there is to see for the lower torso, at least on the front. It also has a print on the back, but there is no alternate face for Garmadon and no print on the back of the upper torso. Garmadon also comes with this laser pointer complete with key ring and chain. It's supposed to be a real life thing. It ties into what we see in the second trailer of the movie, but this is awkward. You've got a basically friction-free joint, or very low friction joint there, which allows this to just rotate around pretty freely, which makes it not work so well the way it's attached here. If you want to get around that, you can cheat a little bit by just pulling this up just a little bit, creates some stress in that joint and adds a bunch of friction. Now it'll actually stay, even though it's technically an illegal connection like that, but it works. This is easily one of my favorite Lego Dragon builds to date, of any sort, Ninjago or otherwise. I think that if it was a different style of dragon, more of a European style to include wings, that would make it much more majestic just to me personally, and would make it my favorite hands down from Lego ever. But for its style, it's really good. I love the color scheme, of course. I think the price to part ratio here is good. The price to volume of stuff is great for how much dragon you get here. The selection of figures is fine. It doesn't really stand out to me that much. I kind of wish that they had a little bit more specialized, a little bit more interesting, generic dude off to the side with one of those interesting specialized molds for the heads or something. But just on the whole, I'm very happy with this. I think the thing looks fantastic on display. So that wraps up my look at and thoughts about the Lego Ninjago Movie Green Ninja Mech Dragon. Thanks for stopping by, thanks for watching. I'll be talking to you again very soon because my next video is on the way.